whether it's in Europe or
Anywhere.
Anywhere. Okay, that's great.
It's been an extraordinary journey because. You want me to tell you how it happened?
I would love to know. You know,
okay.
Did it just happen to you all of a sudden?
No.
Oh, it came in little bits? Okay, tell us.
Well, I'll start off. First of all, I was a lapsed Catholic. I had no real interest in religion. In fact, I could honestly say I was heading towards being agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
Hadn't received sacraments for years, including confession. Had no interest, quite frankly, because my life was a different, far removed from going to church or going to Mass. I was a high flyer businesswoman.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think myself, before the messages began, I think there was a preparation. I didn't realise at the time what it was, but what actually happened was I was visiting somebody in hospital, and I went into the church, and I happened to pray before a statue of Our Lady. This was a year beforehand. Now, I hadn't prayed for a long, long time, and as I prayed, she came out on the altar. I was so, how can I describe it? I freaked out.
So were you in the church by yourself at the time?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, there was another person with me.
Mm-hmm. And did they see it too?
Yes.
Or? Oh,
yes.
They did, okay.
But that was helpful, because at least I knew it wasn't just me. I was, when I saw her, I couldn't move. She was so powerful, so strong. The image came and she was crying. And I was just gobsmacked, and I ran out of the chapel, trembling. I couldn't keep it together, as we say here.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few days later, I said I'd go back, and I was visiting this particular person in hospital, and I kept going back. And every single time I went back, now after that I was on my own, I kept seeing figures coming from the statue. I didn't know what they were, but I saw figures of a little girl with a shawl. I saw a man with a skull cap, a dark skull cap with a beard. I still don't know who that is.
Was it Padre Pio, do you think?
It could be, because I have seen him since. It could have been him as a young person. And then I kept seeing this nun, and she had a square headpiece on her head. It was such an extraordinary habit. I just said, who are these? What am I seeing here? It was shocking. I mean, really shocking. So this went on, and to make a long story short, these visions were coming for quite some time. And then, finally, in November, I went to a grotto not far from where I live, and I was with a few friends who I'd heard there was a rosary group, and something made me go down. And when I went down that day, that's what changed everything. Because as I looked at her statue, she came out again. But after, straight away, I saw Pope John Paul II. Then I saw the nun with the square headpiece again, whom I now know to be Sister Faustina.
Oh, my, yeah. Sister Faustina.
I saw so many other figures. I didn't know who they were, but I've since been told one was Saint Benedictine, I think.
Saint Benedict. Saint Benedict. He's a powerful, powerful saint.
And the other was Saint Augustine, and I never heard of any of them. They meant nothing to me. So then, what happened, I knew something was happening to me, because during all this period, a few strange things began to happen. I would start thinking of the crucifixion, and slowly, by degrees, I would get very, very upset thinking about the crucifixion. And then I'd find myself waking at 3 o'clock in the morning in floods of tears, thinking of Jesus on the cross. I didn't know what was wrong with me, and yet I knew I was of sound mind, because I'm a very I'm a very busy career woman. So I have a very serious job. So I knew I couldn't go into my office the next day and act as if nothing was happening, because I had to work. I mean, I had to live my life as normally as I could, but I was trembling and shaking inside. But I wasn't afraid. However, on the 8th of November, I just felt compelled to say the rosary at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know why. Something made me get the room ready, and I prayed, and Our Lady gave me a message for the very first time.
And did you see Our Lady? Did she come to you, or
yes.
did you hear it in her life?
Yes. Okay. No sound, no voices, nothing like that. Mouth moving, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a pen and paper. I don't know why I was so organised, but I just felt something was happening. And that's when she gave me the first message. I hadn't a clue what it meant. I'll just give you a quote from that message. "My child, you have a responsible job to do, and you must not let anyone stop you. The truth has to get out. You have been chosen to do this work. My child, stay strong. Look to God above for guidance to do my work." And then she said, "You have all the saints working with you." And I stopped and looked again, and I saw them all again.
The same saints that you saw before?
All the same
Saint
saints
Faustina?
that I saw, all of them.
Okay.
And I stopped, and I said, "Are you really speaking to me?" I dropped my pen. I said, "What's this? Are you speaking to me or what?" "Pick up your pen, that's right, and spread the truth before it's too late. These messages are of divine origin and must be respected. I trust you to make sure they are delivered effectively to a disbelieving world. It is most important that you stay strong for my beloved son. I know you suffer for him, with him, and through him. Rejoice because this is good. You are blessed, my child, to have been chosen for this work. Stay strong." And the message continued. I didn't know what it meant at all. This was at 3:30 in the afternoon on the 8th of November. And then that night I was fast asleep, and at 3 o'clock in the morning I woke up with a start. I felt my body as if I was being lifted out of my body. That's all I can describe this as. And I turned on the light and I looked at my clock, and I happened to have a picture of Jesus beside me, because I believe now I was slowly converting up to that point. And somebody gave me a picture of Jesus, and it was a battered picture. It was just propped there. And I looked, and to my absolute amazement, his face came out and just became alive, and his mouth started to move, and I knew he was speaking, but he didn't say anything. I couldn't hear anything. And I had an old envelope beside my bed, so I grabbed it and I found a pen. I knew he wanted to communicate. And that first message was, when I think it was 3 o'clock in the morning, fast asleep, and next minute out this message came, and it was just extraordinary. I couldn't make it up. I'll just give you the first paragraph.
Oh, yes, please do.
"Behold, the time is near for you to tell the world that justice will befall all those who reject me. My mercy knows no bounds to all those who follow the truth of my suffering on the cross. Joy to those of my followers who reject the temptations they are faced with every day. Others who turn their backs on my teachings are blind to the promises made by me when I died for their sins on the cross. I am in deep pain and feel desolate with the abandonment that I suffer from my beloved sinners for whom I gave up my earthly life." And it goes on.
Wow, I'll tell you.
Trembling all over.
What did you do? When you receive a message like that, and you're called to such service, how did you feel at that point? Did you did you share it with anyone, or did you just keep it? Did you keep it to yourself to that point?
I rang my best friend the next morning, and I said, either I'm going crazy or something is happening. And there was a part of me hoping I was going crazy, because I said, if this is a breakdown of some sort, I'd rather have that than this. I just couldn't deal with what was happening. I didn't really want to deal with what was happening. And yet I felt this, it was a compelling feeling to be drawn back. I rang my priest as well, who knows me for 20 years, and he laughed because I'm the last person he would associate.
That's what makes it even so more amazing that God has chosen you, and I imagine you must have felt that way. Here you were, you said you were almost an agnostic, and yet Our Lady came to you, and then you're receiving these gifts. So you had a total conversion of the heart because of this, and this is what God's calling all of us to do, isn't he? To have that conversion of heart?
That's really, since then I've had over 250 messages. Quite a few haven't been published, but...
Well, are most of these messages meant for people to hear, or are many of those meant just for you privately?
No, they're meant for a very specific reason. They're for the world, because there's a lot going to happen now. I've never, ever given dates, but he's told me, now that I'm getting strong, it's nearly a year now, having gone through all the trauma, I can't deal with this, not able for this, I don't want this, take this back. Being woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I actually asked him on the 5th day, please don't wake me up at 3.
Are you still being wakened up at 3 o'clock in the morning? Oh, okay.
Only once or twice with a very important message.
Okay.
So what are the messages for? He told me that the world is going to change. Now, you must remember, I know nothing, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I never read the Bible. I know nothing about the Bible. I suppose as I grew up, the Bible was not something that we had. We weren't really taught very much about the Bible, and I think a lot of Catholics would say the same. It's not something that was very high on the agenda. Don't ask me why.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me why. But so he told me that he was giving me messages for the world because he's out of an act of mercy. He's not coming back to judge straight away because he said if he did, there would be very few people in heaven. It'd be